Let every voice that sings.
Good evening, America. Hello, Chicago. And what's up, West Side? This is P Ray of Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self esteem. You could have been doing anything on this rainy Sunday night, and you chose to come hang out with me today at Black Excellence Hour. And as always, I truly appreciate the company. If you are watching live on the Black Excellence Hours Facebook page or the Intellectual Radio's YouTube page, be sure to share the live. Share the live. Today, we are talking about the city council. I told y'all I told you last Sunday that last week, the city of Chicago was about to reject Brandon Johnson's budget. And I knew that they were going to reject the budget because several aldermen had already said that they were going to reject the budget. And I gave them the solution. You know, I'm a solution driven person. I try to keep down as much rigmarole as possible. I'm only here to give solutions, not hate on people, not bring them down, but make life better. So I went and I told them, hey, y'all might as well stop debating this budget. This is dead because my Donnie is back in office. And what's going to happen is we need you to take a pencil and draw a line through every single line item related to the migrants because they are going home. Again, friends, that number is 866-DHS2-ICE, 866-DHS2-ICE. See something, say something today. We know that when Trump won, he was serious about what he said, and the people are on their way out. However, before we get to all of that, because y'all know I went on Fox News this week too. I was on the Laura Loomer show, or Laura Ingraham show. There we go, Laura Ingraham, the Ingraham Angle. So we're gonna listen to that as well. But before we do anything, we're gonna get our dose of self-esteem from the greatest president to ever do it. I mean, ever. Well, obviously, other people believe the same thing because he got 51% of the vote. They're trying to take it from him now, but we know the truth. You know the truth. We know how this is going. And that man, friends, is the 45th, soon to be 47th president of the United States, Donald Trump. Roll tape.
Built this nation. You know, you're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to you built the nation. We all built it, but you were such a massive part of it. Bigger than you were given credit for. Does that make sense? Right? But through generations of blood, sweat, and tears, and you deserve a government that defends your interests, protects your families, and cares for our own citizens first. My administration is fighting with everyone and all our heart to reverse the pain inflicted by Democrat leaders and to deliver hope and opportunity and prosperity for all Americans, but for African American communities all throughout our land. And our agenda is lifting up citizens of every background, race, religion, color, and creed. But while we are fighting every day to build up our nation, the far left only wants to wreck, ruin, and destroy our nation.
All right. Again, that was Mr. Donald John Trump Sr., the 45th president, soon to be president number 47. But first things first, we got to get him there and make sure that the United States of America survives. Because at this very moment, World War III is cracking and popping, y'all. Okay, please do not think that this is a joke. So we know that we've been discussing the Ukraine war and World War III on this show for about 2 years, 2 or 3 years, because I remember Joe was going to Vienna to meet with members of the Kremlin in Ukraine, and they were going to have a discussion, and then Joe messed it up, and we were like, damn it, Joe, you messed it up. Well, Joe has made it even worse, friends. It's actually gotten substantially worse within the past 24 hours. Joe Biden, our President Joe Biden, has now authorized the use of U.S. supplied long range missiles to Ukraine to strike Russia. That means that now the Ukrainians are going to be using Russian missiles, or excuse me, the Ukrainians are going to be using American missiles called the Army Tactical Missile System, or ATACMs, and they're going to use these missiles to attack the Korean troops that have been sent to Russia, because we know that the Koreans and the Russians have an alliance. And so North Korea's president has gifted Russia North Korean soldiers, and now those soldiers are helping the Russians fight the Ukrainians. Now, to push back against that, the US government has decided that they are going to give missiles to Ukraine to fight these Russians and these North Koreans. This is a serious matter. Shout out to the sorors, but not about the sorority. They're saying that this, again, that these weapons are in response to Vlad getting the North Korean soldiers, and they were speaking on anonymity when they spoke of this. They also said that President Zelensky has been asking NATO to allow him to strike deeper inside of Russia with Western supplies missiles. However, the United States had banned that because they didn't want any backlash from the Russian government. Well, today, Jim Crow Joe rewinded all of that. And this, friends, is what Vlad had to say in response. Roll tape. Uh-oh. Did the internet take the response there? Oh, there we go. Roll tape.
Document aggression against Russia by any non-nuclear state, but with the support of a nuclear state, is proposed to be considered as their joint attack on Russia. Russia will also consider the possibility of using nuclear weapons when receiving reliable information about a massive launch of means of aerospace attack and their crossing of our state border. This includes strategic and tactical aircraft, as well as cruise missiles and drones, hypersonic and other delivery vehicles. Russia reserves the right to use nuclear weapons in case of aggression, including if the enemy, using conventional weapons, poses a critical threat.
Y'all heard Vlad. Vlad said that if a pebble from any Western backed missile touches inside of his country, he is going to bust out the nukes. We are teetering on nuclear warfare at this very moment. And I want everybody to remember that Jim Crow Joe could have prevented all of this. We are in this situation because his son, Hunter Biden, sits on the board of Burisma Oil and Gas, which is a quasi state backed company in Ukraine, and they cover oil and gas transportation. Well, the Russians have the oil and gas in their country. In order to get that gas from Russia to mainland Europe, you have two choices. You could either have a pipeline that goes across Ukraine to collect tolls and fines, or you can pull that pipeline through the sea, which was the Nord Stream 1 and 2. Well, somehow or another, the Nord Stream got blown up. And now these pipelines have to go through Ukraine. Well, it appears that there was some type of misappropriation of power and funds through Hunter Biden when it came to Zelensky and Burisma Oil and Gas. The top prosecutor in Ukraine said, wait a minute, we're going to prosecute this because this doesn't seem right. And then Jim Crow Joe stepped in and said, if you prosecute my son, we are going to withhold $2 billion worth of aid from you. And bam, here we are right now teetering on nuclear war. People just think I be making it up, but I don't make it up, y'all. I just report the news, and I am super duper ooper into war reporting. I told y'all I was gonna like go join the CIA, and my daddy said, "Oh no, you ain't. You better think about something else." Moving on. Before we get to the city council moment, I also want to share with everyone that Chicago Red is still on and popping. We are not done. We are not finished. One of our goals was to get President Trump back in office, and we were able to do that substantially. Now, when we look at the precincts and how people voted, the Black precincts were pretty much the same. You know, people still voted for Kamala because they're stuck on this Democratic plantation because they got low self-esteem, but that's not our business. What's very important out of all of this is both the Latino and the Asian communities both voted for Trump overwhelmingly. Well, I got a tweet and a message from a very prominent member of Chinatown, and she told me that the Chicago Red movement is actually what turned Chinatown red. And I'm like, girl, what? And she's like, yes, your movement literally inspired the people of Chinatown to fight back against the city because we're not happy with this either. And I was like, wow. So apparently, Chicago Red was very effective in removing the stigma of racism from MAGA because we are Black people from the west and south side of Chicago. And so when other minority groups are looking at them, they're like, wait a minute, we align politically and morally with these people, but we thought that we couldn't support them because they are white racists. But wait, we got these Black folks, Black Chicago is with this, and Black Chicago is saying this is okay. Then come on, y'all, we all down with it too. And so a lot of people want to say that, oh, Chicago Red was not effective because Black Chicago didn't flip, because we know that everybody is getting paid off grant money, okay? Everybody. All we need, all them people go work these factory jobs that my Donnie is about to bring back. I digress. Chinatown flipped, Pilsen flipped, okay? We know that for a fact, and they said that again. This is because of Chicago Red. So shout out to Chicago Red. I'm looking at the comments and I see someone said, P. Ray, are you going to run for alderman? I'm honestly thinking about it. I am honestly and truly thinking about it. I know that my alderman said that she's not going to run again, so I wouldn't have to run against her. And in the 37th ward, I think I can wrap that up. I can sweep that up really easily because I've been living over there. I was born there 37 years ago. I still live there. I pay taxes there. I eat there. I party there. I socialize there. That is my home, and I understand the policies. So who better than me to go get the things that the 37th ward needs? I'm not sure at all. However, we do have a lot of people who have also said that they want to run for mayor. I know that I don't want to run for mayor. I know that for a fact. But if I were to run, it would be for alderman or congressman because I was raised in a congressman's office. I know how that works. I know federal policy the best, which is why I am such a huge fan of MAGA, because I want to use the resources of our evolved federal government that's coming before us to better the lives of the people in the 7th Congressional District, which are on the south and west sides of Chicago. Moving on, because that's enough about P. Ray. They'll start saying, P. Ray just want to do this because she want to be the alderman. She not serious. She just doing this for money. That's what they love to say. P. Ray's just doing it for money. But if I was getting some money, it would not be as much as they have made selling us out. Moving on. I also had the opportunity this week to go on Fox News. So we won last week, and then my girl hit me up from Fox News and she's like, do you want to come on the Laura Ingraham show? And I'm like, do I want to come on the Laura Ingraham show? Girl, yes, I want to come on the Laura Ingraham show. And at first I was like, well, maybe Fox and them, they don't want to talk to us anymore because the election is over. However, Laura called me on the same day that, well, I'll let you guys hear what happened. Roll tape.
In Chicago to listen to the people of these cities, even if Democrats still want a majority, they're not happy.
Actually, before today, I would have said no. But today, for the first time in the history of Chicago, the entire city council voted no against the mayor in his budget to fund migrants. It was literally 50 aldermen said no, straight red across the board. Chicago red is winning and permeating the conscience of our leadership here.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I'm thinking to myself, when is that going to translate into voting against Democrat politicians, though? Because you got your mayor there who is certainly not on board with what Trump wants to do.
Well, you have to remember that we vote Democrat in the city because of the culture of patronage and bullying and terrorism. And so we have a federal decree to make them stop called the Schechtman decree. And so now that that's done, and the people, everyone knows across every race and socioeconomic class that the Democratic Party does not own us, Chicago is about to change. And today's city council vote definitely illustrated that.
So sorry, my girl Linda filmed that for me and her baby was in the background. But last week, y'all, all 50 other aldermen voted no. Now, before we get into this vote, I want to give a shout out to Chicago Red, because Chicago Red went to city council on Thursday and showed up and showed out. See, at first I was going to go, but I told y'all I feel so sorry for Brandon. I feel so sorry for Brandon. While he's standing there, you can literally look at his face and his body language and see that he's kind of like stiffing up and he's getting nervous and he's fidgeting his hands and he's trying to eat and he's trying to text on his phone. I can't look at that, y'all. It breaks my heart because I know his wife, Stacy, and I'm like, Stacy got to deal with this man. He is obviously sick. So I didn't go. But I sent the crew, baby. I sent the crew, and the crew went viral. Shout out to Dennis, who calls the show all the time. Dennis called me. He's like, P. Ray, I want to go down to City Hall today. I'm like, go put your name in the box. And he was like, well, I never did this. I never talked. I'm like, you talk on the show all the time. He's like, but not in front of the people. He went up there and he did his thing. Y'all listen to the people of Chicago Red. We going viral across the internet right now. Rotate.
Right now.
Wait, let's go back. Hold on.
I want to know, how does it feel that Trump is in office right now? You see the Mayor Brandon Johnson? You underestimate us. You underestimate the black people, and you underestimate Chicago Red. We're the thorn in your side, and we're going to be the thorn on everybody else in this council member side too. If you don't stop what you're doing, we're going to take matters in our own hand, and we're going to stop it. When you took ShotSpotter off after the DNC, more shots have been committed. Do you know how many people got shot and killed? 20. One was a police officer, and he was doing his duty. And then some maniac over here wanted to shoot him dead, cold-blooded and stuff. So my thoughts and prayers to the family of that Chicago police officer, Rolf Hand. But Brandon Johnson, I'm going to say this to you once. I'm not going to repeat myself again. If you don't stop this madness, not only we're going to come after your seat, but guess what? The worst news is Trump assigned Matt Gaetz as the AG. Once he come in after you, he going to sit up here and audit all this money that you've been spending on these illegals at the barbershop on the south side that didn't have no money so far from you and stuff. So why? I know what's going to happen. You're going to go down to the press conference, beat your chest up, and then you're going to talk all that smack. And then you're going to say, if a black man has not had the opportunity like a white man. But guess what? I'm a black man, and I don't see at you. I see through you. And I see the lies that you have been saying since you became office. We had enough problem with Lori Lightfoot, and now she's out because of racism. So when we vote you out, which racism are you going to address? White racism or black racism? You said you cannot figure out what the lesser of the two evil will be. So guess what's going to happen? You know that Trump had pulled 45% of the voter in the state of Illinois, 37 in the city of Chicago. That's the statistic. That means that Illinois is turning purple. We're going to turn red. And for the some of these city councilman member, I warn you, do not sit with Brandon Johnson. We're going to get them seats.
All right, so that was Dennis on there. Dennis was not playing with these people. He said, we coming for those seats. We also had Miss Jessica Jackson went down there. She called that man a loser. She like, he is a loser. Do not stand with him. You a loser, Brandon Johnson. I was like, oh. Oh, dang. Imagine getting cussed out at work and you just got to stand there. He just woke up and went to his city job and got cussed out. Not cussed out, even though Twan Sims did call him an MFer. I don't like that one. Okay. But that's his business. That's his mouth. He can use it how he wants to. We also had Miss Lawrence go up there. She talked about the fact that we have bought these properties and we have not using our properties as a way to fund the illegals. It was just a lot, child. My people really went up there and did that. Our people, because they don't belong to me. Chicago Red is for everybody. Anybody who wants to join Chicago Red, come get down with us. 5834 West Augusta, Chicago, Illinois, 60651 every Thursday at 7 o'clock. Come and join the movement. Find out the plans. Right now, we are arranging ourselves to go to the inauguration. It's just a lot of stuff that's going on top of the fact that we got to keep our feet on Brandon's neck, on top of the fact that we're going to start going down state because we were able to shake hands and make friends with the legislators downstate who are also Republicans. So we have to start linking up with them to call our state house people in order to push what we want through. Our next big goal, people, is to move LaShawn Ford's bill, his recall bill, out of committee. I'll get the numbers and everything, but starting in December, everybody's going to have to call their state rep and their state senator to tell them to move this bill along because the city of Chicago wants it pushed. And if they can help us, we can help them. We're going to turn this whole state red. But first things first, they got to help us get rid of ineffective leadership. Which brings me to this point, guys, before we start talking about City Hall again, but I guess it's all related. Today, the CTU put out a notice and they said, we know where we stand united. CPS feels the pressure. It is now time to make our voices impossible to ignore as we push for a contract that ensures every school has the resources that it deserves. Let's show CPS that we mean business. So they're going to show up in some red shirts because we're going to go down there and mix in with them too so that the people can think that they Chicago red. I'm going with the flag. But they are calling this the Resist Trump Project 2025. And it's going to be on November 21st at 4:30. Now, what really grinded P. Ray's nerves about all of this is that they said buses from school communities may be provided. How in the hell y'all got buses to get to the protest, but y'all ain't got buses to get the kids to the school? What is going on here? See, y'all, I told you I don't like driving to the South Side every day. I don't enjoy it. So if they can figure out how to transport their memberships to a protest to protest something phony, because President Trump doesn't have anything to do with Project 2025. His is Agenda 47. If they have the buses to do that, they have the buses to get the kids to the school, but instead they want to continue to play with us, and they want to indoctrinate your children with all of this confusion about gender and Demi and all this other weird stuff. So before I play this next tape, and I want to give a shout out to all my people that I personally know in Trump's cabinet. I know Pete Hegseth, who is now the Secretary of Defense. I was on his show. President Trump saw me on Pete Hegseth's show. So that's my connection to him. And Matt Gaetz, who is going to be the Attorney General of the United States of America, I met him at the debate and I got his wife's phone number. So sometimes she and I text each other, which means that P. Ray got the DOJ right where she needs them to be. And all you folks that's going to jail, I'm going to see to it that you go to jail. You going to jail. If you committed any crimes in the city of Chicago, if you've ever hurt the Easley family and you committed crimes, and I think you know I'm talking to, oh yes, son, I'm talking to you. You going to jail. Matt Gaetz is coming to the city of Chicago and he's about to sweep all of this up. And I want y'all to listen to this because it all ties into DEI and the things that we're trying to push our children away from. I say death to DEI, and it's for this reason because Matt Gaetz is coming on business. Congratulations, friend, for becoming the Attorney General for the United States of America. Roll tape.
Sir, that's a term of the people that are eligible for that particular scholarship that is available to. It's a person who looks at their gender in a different way than I do, sir.
Well, sure, that's all of these people. You're a cisgender man. You don't even get to apply.
Well,
do you know what demigender really means?
I'm not really sure, sir.
Right. So do you know what agender means? All one word, not a space gender, but agender.
Sir, I don't.
Right. So here we are pushing a fellowship, calling for people that you don't even know what the words mean. And the number one group of people, the cisgender men, are excluded. Now, in the name of diversity, equity, and inclusion, should we be pushing programs that we can't define that exclude the largest group of service members?
See,
morning, y'all.
and that's what they are talking about when they say that they want to get rid of DEI, how we have to get rid of this thinking in schools. Nobody quite understands what this means or where we're going with this or anything like that. However, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. However, we're getting rid of all of that because my Donnie is getting in office, and the Attorney General of the United States of America is going to be Matthew Gaetz, and he's coming to the city of Chicago to drain the swamp. We getting audits. Everybody that's been violating the Voting Act, everybody that's been playing with people's houses, everybody that's been using political violence and coercion to push their way and disenfranchise the Chicago voters. We telling, okay? We telling in real life. See, this Chicago Red movement was not an ego movement. This was not just to say, oh, we are the champions, my friend. No, that was not just that purpose. The purpose was to get our city back together. And now we are going to shake hands and make friends with the people that we need to meet. Let's take a caller really quickly. Welcome to Black Excellence Hour.
Hey, Ray, it's Dennis.
Hey, Dennis, welcome. You the star of the internet right now.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
No, we appreciate you. Thank you.
No, because you, Miss Jackson, and Zoe, you are the pioneer. You are the chief pioneer, and you paving the way. And this is going to be a historical moment on January 20th when Trump put his hand on the Bible. But when soon as Trump takes his hand off the Bible, these illegals are gone.
I agree. They
Gone.
gotta go.
Yeah, so now we're going to have to get a loudspeaker and play Ray Charles' song, Hit the Road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. So now here's the thing about what's going on. The Democrats lost the seat in the House, the Senate, and they lost the White House. So that's a clean sweep right there. But because here it is November and we got until January 20th, now the Democrats is trying their best to create more damage to this country, just like Biden over here sending off a long range to Ukraine. So they trying to make it more harder for Trump and the rest of his administration to clean the mess up that they've been defecating on for the last 4 years.
You know,
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, no, we got the ultimate swamp draining now, because before he wanted to drain the swamp and they play all of their cards up front. They've done the Russia, they've done the pervert, they've done the money, they've done the taxes, they've done everything. And now they can't do anything but get out of our way as we continue to win.
That's true too. And as far as the movement, what's going on for Chicago Red, it just don't stop at the federal level. Now we coming for the state and the local. And we need to come 3 times hard, just like we did for Trump. And not only that, but Chicago Red need to spread out through all these city here in the Chicago that think that blue is going to stay there forever. So we really going to have to turn it. We're going to turn it out. And we need now this right here is a clear message to Pritzker, Preckwinkle, and Johnson, and the city council. When Trump won the electoral, not only did he won the electoral, but guess what? He won the popular vote. This is a clear, now they interfere. And when Pritzker and Brandon Johnson say, well, you come for my people. If you come for my people, you come for us. So my question is, who is his people? The taxpayer or the non-taxpayer that's here illegally?
Well, it must be the non-tax. It must be the illegals because all of us want them to leave.
That's right. So if they gonna make it hard for ICE, then it's time for us taxpayer, law-abiding citizens with our guns to help ICE to deport these illegals out of here. Because we don't work for Brandon Johnson, so they can't fire us. We're not the police, but we could do a citizen arrest.
That's a good point. I have a question for you, Dennis, because you were at City Hall when all of the aldermen voted no. What was the response from the people? I mean, so as the board is turning red, what was the energy like in the room?
The energy was very, very, it was there. And when I made that clear, that first statement of how does it feel that Trump is in office, I think that got their attention. And then when I say that Trump has assigned Matt Gaetz as the Attorney General, and he will get that Attorney General through the Senate, I think they start thinking, Matt Gaetz, he gonna come and do a lot of investigation and do the way that Brandon Johnson spends the taxpayer money on the illegal and all sorts of unnecessary things. So it got their attention very well. I have Alderman Lopez, he wanted to talk to me in person. So I'm going to make it a scheduled appointment on that to do that.
Yeah, Ray Ray is a friend of the show. We call him Ray Ray, as in King Ray. Yes. So yes, he's always been a quiet supporter of Chicago Red.
Yes, and that vote right there against the $300 million property tax increase, that should not stop Raw Fan, because if you want to save your seat, you got to listen to the voters, because now we're the people who got your seats in the palm of our hands, and they starting to see that reality kick in, Raw Fan. But as defined Brandon Johnson may be, I think this is the one that's really made him the sickest person right there, because everybody voted no to the $300 million property tax increase. So now Brandon Johnson don't have a leg to stand on, because that's over with. Next, we need to put that shot spotter back up and see if we could find a way to lift this sanctuary law here in the city of Chicago. So now we turn it up from simmer. Now we got to turn it up to boiling. Make sure that they really feel the heat from not only Chicago Red, but every voter here in the city of Chicago that don't want these illegal immigrants in our neighborhood and taking our resources.
And again, I totally agree. The next move must be to get LaShawn Ford's bill out of committee to recall politicians in the state. Once we get that moving and going and passed, I think it's the Laquan McDonald bill. Once we get that out of committee, oh my God, then we can do what we have to do. However, the recall petition is still active. Reach out to Dan Bolin if you want to assist with that. If you want to go out and start getting some signatures, it was kind of difficult for us to do during the past election because people were like, I ain't signing on that black man. We got to give that black man a chance. Y'all ought to be ashamed of y'allself doing all this for him. However, now that the city council, for the first time in the history of the city of Chicago, voted unanimously against the mayor, I think it'll be a much easier sale to the people. What you think, Dennis?
The more we turn the heat on them, and apply this pressure on the city council, the more that Mayor Johnson don't have no choice but to oblige by everything. So the more I encourage everybody to start coming to the city hall meeting, put your name in that lottery, and once they call your name, express your displeasure of the performance of what Brandon Johnson has done. Because we gave a black woman like 4 years and she didn't do too good. But why should we give a black man the same courtesy that most people demand of Lori Lightfoot? So we cannot keep on voting for the same skin color under the same party, and you get the same results. That is really, really bad for the voters. And for the voters, you need to stop voting for these damn Democrats, because if the Democrats haven't done nothing for you then, it won't do for you now. They will never do nothing for you in the future.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
773-345-9977. 773-345-9977. Give us a call. And like Dennis said, all you gotta do is go down there and put your name in the box. We do not pledge people in Chicago red. You do not have to go through a hazing process. All you gotta do is show up. Just literally show up and you are in. You can be a part of the movement. You can get on the mic. You could come to the events. We do all kind of stuff. Okay. Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. It's 2024. That level of Democrat machine is gone. The daily machine is gone. Now we are dealing with the children from high school, the high school misfits, literally. That's what we dealing with, y'all. The ones that were like, save the trees. Now they're in charge. Okay. You don't got to be afraid of them. You don't have to allow them to siphon all of your tax money onto their pet projects. I promise you, nothing will happen to you if you come and link up with us and do what you need to do. Because again, Chicago Red is not stopping. The city of Chicago can now see that we are very serious. And it's funny because when I was talking to Laura, and I mentioned that this was the first time that the city had voted against the mayor, her face was like, what? Her and the other guests were like, what? Oh my God, is she serious? And yes, I was serious. So shout out to Chicago Red, because we got to break that news to the city of Chicago, or to the country, that we were not going along with the mayor's $300 million illegal immigrant tax. How dare he want to use 300 million of our tax dollars to feed these people? To give them housing, to give them food, to give them shelter, to give them cell phones. Why do they deserve that and not us? Inglewood Barbie, and shout out to Inglewood Barbie. She's doing some really good work over there at Club 51. There is a girl, and I'm calling her a girl because she was a girl. A girl died over there in the homeless camp. And she was a white girl. She was 18 years old. She looked very young. She died of a heroin overdose. The reason I mentioned this little girl and the heroin overdose and the Inglewood Barbie is because people like her need that help. People like her are out there on their feet every day trying to feed people, trying to scrape up food, trying to get people in apartments, trying to keep babies dry, fed, and healthy. American babies, people who have years and generations and generations and generations and generations in the soil. The little girl that died, her name was Chevelle Taylor. Okay, you can't get no American than that. However, they were not paying attention to girls like Chevelle because they're too busy trying to use our tax dollars to push for illegals. I guess that the Democratic Party has given up on the American people. The American people are out of vogue when it comes to the Democrats. But again, friends, that's exactly who they are. Once I really started learning about the Democratic Party and what they were doing, I really started telling my daddy, like, Daddy, we do not need to be with these people. Okay, Daddy, please, let's just be Republicans. We could just do all the work we're doing for the Republicans and make them great. He's like, shut up, Ray. Don't you never say that no more. I told you about talking about that Republican stuff. And now look at me. I'm on national TV talking about it. Oh, my daddy always said I did not mind. Okay, I don't mind. But that's who he raised. That's who the Lord sent me here to be, because we are emancipating the people and making sure that we are making sure that people are holding on to their properties through lowering the taxes. Again, our only goal, friends, is to be America first and to make sure that the taxes that we're paying go to the American people first. That's it. That's not a huge political movement. It's not like we're trying to overthrow the government and put in the king or worship a golden cow. No, we don't want to do none of that. All we want to do is make sure that the Americans are first and the American tax dollars go to the American people. Well, after Brandon got his budget pushed into the ground and stomped it and set it on fire, we had a couple of comments from the city council, because now after he got it pushed into the ground, Brandon Johnson is now saying that instead of $300 million, he wants to have $150 million. And they're saying that that will not work either. Alderman Anthony Beale said that neither the mayor nor any of his aides talked to any of the 14 people who signed on to the letter to dump his budget. Then Alderman Bill said that he is not satisfied with the $150 million cuts because he said they're looking for revenue instead of looking for fat and efficiency. If they could cut the $300 million increase in half miraculously in a couple of days, it means that they are still trying to hoodwink the people of Chicago instead of making the spending cuts needed to put the city back on track. Alderman Marty Quinn said that it would be very difficult for Mayor Johnson to get 26 votes of any property tax increase, let alone $150 million. So again, just get rid of the sanctuary city ordinance. I don't understand why this is so difficult to understand. I'm not getting paid $174, excuse me, $174,000 a year to figure this out, but I can figure this out straight from my house. Why y'all can't figure this out? All you have to do is suspend the sanctuary ordinance. Once you suspend the sanctuary ordinance, people will start to self-deport because they will understand that the city of Chicago is not going to protect them from ICE anymore. Then ICE is going to come in and remove the people who are not supposed to be here, especially within the manufacturing and low-skilled trades. Then our people go get those jobs. We got less people on the street, more people paying taxes and moving into the middle class. I don't understand why the city of Chicago is so hesitant to get rid of the sanctuary city ordinance. I'm telling y'all, maybe the mayor got him a woman in Venezuela. No, let me not say that. No, he don't have no woman. He is a very faithful man. Stacy got a good husband. I don't play with them like that. But somebody got a woman down in Venezuela, and that has to be the only reason why they keep on trying to play and trick the people. However, Marty Quinn also said that I really believe that you have I really believe that you have to demonstrate to Chicago taxpayers that there are real reforms, freezing salaries, freezing new employees. That's what Chicago wants to hear. You got to tighten up a little bit. There is no way Chicagoans will be up for a $150 million property tax increase. It's not that big of a difference. Even Pat Dow, who is the finance chair, said that she wasn't satisfied with cutting the property taxes in half. She said, I think we can go deeper. She said she's also given the mayor lots of suggestions on ways to cut spending, and she hasn't heard back on whether or not those ideas are going to be implemented. She said that $150 million is not satisfactory to me. A $150 million property tax increase is not something that I could support. So that's it. It's not going to work. We're not getting this property tax increase. He also wants to tax liquor. And the liquor stores are not going for that. The bars are not going for that. The restaurants are not going for that. So I don't know what the mayor is going to do, but everything that he's throwing on the table as a way to tax the people, they said that it is not going to work. Now, after he got dumped at the city council meeting, he said, this is he meaning Brandon, this is a healthy process. This is something that my administration can handle. I'm not intimidated by voices from individuals who are city leaders in their own respect. Oh, so you talking about me, Brandon? You think that I'm a city leader in my own respect? No, I'm a national leader, love. I'm a national leader. I just happen to be based off the west side of Chicago, just like you. He also said that this is a good thing for Chicago. It's a new process. People will learn to adjust to it as we have done moving forward. He said that he has no doubt that the city council will ultimately pass a balanced budget that negotiates the details while upholding his values. He said that we must confront the city's structural deficit by avoiding a one-time scoop like reducing the $272 million pension advance. He said that he wants to invest in people by supporting programs on the west and south side, and that we must not cut any city services by laying off employees or imposing furlough days. So I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know how he's going to do it. I don't know how it's going to work, but I do know that the city of Chicago and Chicago Red, we are not going to stop, and we're not going to release the pressure off the mayor, because at the end of the day, you shouldn't have played with my baby school bus. See, if I wasn't already driving through downtown, I wouldn't have time to stop at City Hall. But because I am, here we are, and I'm using all this energy, and I'm telling everybody, please come and tell you what you got to say to the city, because the whole country is listening. Alderman Brendan Riley, who is from downtown, says that if they're able to retreat that quickly to a much lower number, how much better can we do if we continue to negotiate and force the question on cutting expenses and not talking about new revenue? This mayor seems to think that every city job is an entitlement and that these are sacred cows that cannot be touched. They also said that the mayor does not believe that you can balance a budget by laying off working people. However, he has laid off people, and there is a hiring freeze, which means that now the city of Chicago and the mayor of Chicago has stopped hiring Americans so that he can pay for illegals to eat and thrive. Again, the mayor of Chicago has stopped hiring Americans in the city of Chicago so that we can pay for the illegals to eat and thrive. Remember, friends, the budget increase for property taxes now sits at $150 million. We, as City of Chicago, we do not plan on spending not one red cent on these people. Give me a call, 773 345 9977, 773 345 9977. I want to give a shout out to all the people who are watching the show. That's Waveland King, Mark Armstrong. We have correctional officer Latanya, who's a part of Chicago Red. Miss Marjorie of Chicago Red. She is actually the some of the greatest glue to hold us together. I love you, Miss Marjorie. Shout out to the superstar of the movement, Miss Jessica Jackson. I keep telling her that if we were the Jackson 5, I am Tito and she is Michael. My job is just to keep the groove, because she is definitely getting the people engaged. Shout out to Miss Regina Gibson and everybody else who is watching the show. If I did not say your name, Mr. William Riley as well. If I did not say your name, charge it to my head and not my heart, because again, I'm just looking at this as we are going through the show. Action items. The action items for next week are as followed. Number one, we need to all call our state legislators. You can call the switchboard. I'm about to give you the number for the Illinois State House switchboard. What we need to do is call the Illinois State House switchboard, get your legislators' number, and then call them and tell them to advance the Laquan McDonald bill. It is so important. When I say it is important, it is important, because what we have to understand is that no matter what happens here, if we do not get the politicians together, it doesn't matter. We can go up there and holler and fuss and pay parking and sweat and make ourselves upset and raise our cortisol and gain weight like P. Ray has. But if we do not get them to push the legislation that we want, none of this matters. So I'm about to give you a phone number. If you are in the state of Illinois, I want you to write this down. This number is 217-782-2099. Again, 217-782-2099. 2099. Call that number, give them your address. If you know who your state rep is, just get the number, call them and tell them that it is imperative for the survival of the city of Chicago that they advance the Laquan McDonald bill. This bill must be advanced. This is the only way that we can get some recall energy going, because honestly, guys, we're only a year and a half into this administration, which means that we got 2.5 years left of this. And I don't think that we can take it, and we shouldn't have to take it. And we shouldn't have to be in a situation where we must or try to find comfort in chaos, because you can never find comfort in chaos. This movement is still moving. This movement is still growing. We were not Chicago for Trump. And that's why I specifically did not name the group Chicago for Trump, even though y'all know I love me some Donnie. This is about a fundamental change of government in the city of Chicago. We're trying to get people to understand that this is a self-esteem movement, because if you love yourself, then you are not okay with your tax dollars being diverted from the children of Chicago to illegals. That does not make any sense. We also know that if you love yourself, and you know that your ancestors, be you Black, white, Hispanic, or Asians, worked way too hard for us to get to where we are as a country in order for us to lose it to people who have no right to be here with us. Okay, this is all about you, preserving you and your family and your heirs, and honoring your ancestors. That's what we are about. If you love yourself, then it's easy for you to join a community of other people who love themselves, and that's Chicago Red. Chicago Red is not just Black folks, even though we are majority Black. We are not just Black women, even though Black women like myself are pushing this. Again, I want to give a shout out to Dennis, because Dennis came down there and got on that mic, and Dennis was a new person. So I know the mayor was like, ooh, where they get this Negro from? Well, oh my God, they just keep popping up like gremlins or something. Oh my God, now they got new people coming down here, and they're giving us the business as well. So if you got any time throughout the week, come down to City Hall and join us, y'all. We need the strength, we need the movement, we need the power. And we need to show them that we are going to be united behind the president when it comes to Agenda 47. That's it. I think it's time for me to wrap up. It is time for me to go. Is it true? Yes. Okay. All right. So the music is playing, and that means that we are at the end of the show. And once again, I thank you for the company. Remember, guys, scared people get nothing done, and we are not scared. We are brave. We are strong. We are mighty. We come from a great people because we are true Americans, 100% Americans, buried bone and flesh deep into this land. Remember, we are as American as sweet potato pie. So our movement in the MAGA movement is to help our country that our people gave to us. Anybody who called you a coon or say that you want to be up under white people, those people are racist, and they don't see you as part of this country, because it is ours. It is for us. And oh my God, y'all, this is such a beautiful time to be a conservative in the city of Chicago. This is B-Ray of Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self-esteem. Come pull up at the Chicago Red Movement and join the vibe, because baby, we are the champions, my friend. Mwah. Ciao. See y'all in a little while.